You need to get to each of us.
I mean, the Speed Force is infinite. I could never know where to begin to look.
Remember, Barry, memories and connections you need to consider our greatest victories, our most crushing defeats, the moments when the bonds between us were forged.
When the bonds were forged.
Now do this, Barry.
Because you have to.
Hello? What the hell is this?
I'm asking myself the same question. Literally. No, this can't be happening. What are you doing here?
Well, I'll tell you that when you tell me where here is. Is this cosplay? Oh, do you want a selfie, bro?
No,
I'm sorry.
We're not, no. I'm also the Flash.
You're also the what?
The Flash?
The Flash? The Flash?
It's complicated.
I like your outfit. It seems
Thinking
comfy.
yours is pretty cool.
Smooth.
Seems safe and
breathable. Found Barry Allen. No! What does that mean? How can this...
This should be impossible now.
It should be impossible now?
You don't know about the...
Oh my God, don't do this to me. I don't know about the what. You okay? I told Victor this was possible.
What does this mean?
Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Trip Around Multiverse with your host, the guy who actually played Marty McFly in Back to the Future, Carl Charles, and
the tin of tomatoes that changed the timeline, CY Chung.
And today we are going to review The Flash that finally came out after like how many delays and pushbacks and
after
whatever.
How many years as well. Jeez.
Yeah.
An entire Flash TV series finished by the time this movie came out.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Which is strange, because it's like, all right.
Yeah.
There was a lot of, when you hear conjecture about how the movie, what might be in the movie, what might know the movie.
Yeah.
So there were people suggesting, oh yeah, it's going to be like certain characters in a wheelchair and whatnot, right? Which obviously aren't in the movie. And you know which character I mean, right? I think the TV equivalent of Wells.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and AKA the Reverse Flash. I don't know at the time whether he was going to be called U-Bolt Thorn or whatever. Yeah.
Hmm.
But they wrote all that out. I think I was just cribbing off the TV show though, because in the comics there wasn't no dude in a wheelchair that was whatever, right?
Yeah, that'd be weird.
Yeah. But I'm glad they didn't do none of that stuff, and they just kind of told a very straightforward story. In fact.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't trying to be too clever at any points. It was like it looked good until it didn't look good.
So I kind of like forget. Like I know you're talking about certain CGI parts, right?
Yeah.
Like some of it I kind of forgave. It was like, okay, that's what they're kind of going for because it's.
Yeah. But here's the thing, right? They look video gamey, but when we get to non-spoilers, I will come up with I will tell you my headcanon of why it's like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I thought actually the Flash's costume is a downgrade from the Snyderverse costume because it looked too rubbery.
Hmm.
It did look interesting.
Yeah.
At least you can say that the prototype costume looked visually distinct.
Yeah.
This new one just didn't look as good as that.
Yeah, it did look a bit weird if I was honest. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it just looked too flat compared to what the previous one was.
Yep, I would agree with you on that one.
Yeah. But yeah, the other costumes look good. Wow. The other costumes, non-spoiler, spoiler, and there's a particular reason for a particular costume that doesn't look good.
But is one of the spoilers really a spoiler? Because they kind of
Yeah,
give that away.
It's true. Like,
from
yeah.
Jump. Oh,
well, that's the thing, isn't it? Because I think one of the spoilers would have been better not to know.
Yeah.
Actually, two of them, both additional characters. Would have been better to know, not to know, as a swerve, sort of thing. It'd have been neat just to go in there and go, oh yeah, oh that's interesting. But at the same time, if people are expecting something else, you kind of have to tame those expectations as well.
Yeah. It's all.
Yeah. I thought. Okay, forget about Ezra Miller the person, right?
The real life supervillain, yeah.
Yeah. Right, forget that, yeah.
Yeah.
But the way that he had to handle his distinct parts in the movie, two distinct parts in the movie were good, and you can see how one then becomes another.
Yeah.
The storyline, it's like, yeah, there are different points in their lives, and then things don't go that you just. As with time travel, they're splinters. So he doesn't play a different character per se, yeah.
No.
But he's got his character's been through a different journey and ends up at a different point.
Yeah, so it makes sense.
I will say, come on, sorry.
No, so it makes sense the way he is. Yeah.
I will say though, I'm not particularly a fan of this universe's version of how Barry Allen is, because that's not how I expect Barry Allen to be. Not to say, okay. He's just a bit too hyper, and I know I get the logic. Oh yeah, he's a speedster, he can be blah blah blah. Yeah, but it's just like that's not how Barry Allen is portrayed. Not even in the comics, even in all the other live action. This one seems way more jittery.
Yeah, I get why though, because like he's the youngest member of the Justice League, innit? So you got to kind of have him to be that way, and so it makes sense.
I mean, yeah, but it just gives me them impulse vibes rather than what comics Barry Allen was. I don't know if you read Justice League Year One.
Yeah.
Have you read it?
I think I have.
Okay, that's the one where way back when past Zor-el, where the Trinity of Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman weren't in the Justice League.
Yeah.
So the Justice League was founded by the Flash, Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter, Aquaman, and Black Canary.
Yeah.
And basically Barry Allen he got not lumped with the lead role, but basically just became the leader of it. Because of I want to say how mature he was at the time, but just like, well, Hal Jordan's a bit of a too much of a hotshot, and other people aren't. Like Barry Allen works with the police as well, so there's kind of certain things that they kind of that fell towards him, and he just kind of took the responsibility.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm like, this version of Barry Allen is not what I expect. Though I know you'll probably never get to that version of Barry Allen, right? Because that's the one that Wally West loves in the comics, right?
Yeah.
But as a distinct character there, I'm like, all right, fine, I accept it. I accept what was portrayed and how they got around to readjusting it through the movie.
Okay.
Yeah. Any non-spoiler comments you want to make?
Non-spoiler comments. Let me think, because I did enjoy this movie.
Yeah.
There's bits of it, like you, well, not like you. Like I understand this version of Barry Allen. Like every sort of live action interpretation of a comic character has changed to be more relatable, which makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I personally find OG Barry Allen as too much of a stickler, if you will.
That is true though. That is true. I will say that. He was a bit of a white meat baby face if he was in pro wrestling.
Yeah. So I kind of get you got to make him kind of more relatable to the youth and stuff, making him jittery and having his little
like he's on there and he drinks 24/7.
Yeah, but that's only like the non-spoiler. I can't even say it because it's technically
No, I know, yeah. But
Yeah.
you could even say that's more like the Zack Snyder version when he was still in control.
No,
Because
I was talking about the. I'll probably speak more about it when we get into spoilers, but
okay, the other, yeah.
yeah, but I'd see the normal Barry Allen. He's just awkward. There's nothing like weird about him. He's just an awkward person because like how they kind of display it in the film. Nothing, there's nothing a spoiler or anything. That
Yeah.
he didn't really have any friends, so that's why he's the way he is. So I was like, yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, the story, yeah, pretty simple. Nothing trying to be over the top or anything.
Yeah, I will say parts of it is one of the. Okay, if you didn't know, if you didn't watch none of the DC movies before, and yet this is the first DC movie you watched, would you say it would be confusing?
Yes and no.
I think it's written in a way that you could go in there and watch this stuff and be like, all right, but they're just other characters rather than all right, they pulled this character from here, they pulled this character from here, and this version of the character, this version, you know. It doesn't need necessarily to be murky for someone who is hasn't seen these films before.
No, because
it's not a good introductory film. I will say this, right?
No, it's not a good introductory film.
Because
no.
Not because it's a bad film. It's just like there's lots of things you're like, right? You kind of need previous knowledge of.
Yeah.
You need to have seen Man of Steel at least.
Yeah, at least you don't need to see like Justice League or any of that. You don't really need to.
Yeah. You don't even need to see Batman from 1989 or nothing like that.
No.
You just need Man of Steel. This parts of the story take place during that, except that.
But then, do you even need to really see it then?
Sorry?
But then I was thinking, do you really need to see it then? Because they can't explain it in that. So I don't know.
They go rough outlines of everything. I think this movie kind of assumes you've seen it.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of an awkward thing because you're like, all right. It shows all it's surface stuff.
Yeah.
Right? That gives you enough to go through the movie, but then it's not things that you're like, all right, why is that and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's just like you callbacks and stuff like that. You just if you haven't seen it, you're like, okay, maybe it just skates over your head.
But I kind of respect the film for not like being too like doesn't sound really bad. New user friendly. They stuck to guns like, you know what?
Yeah.
Most people seen this film have seen the others, so okay, it's to them.
Well, you know what I have to say, even if it isn't, right? Even if you hadn't, you go in there and you're like, wow, this is a straightforward film that has a lot of threads running through it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need to, well, you know, it's like not hold my hand to work out what's going on, but it's just like you're in it for the ride. You go through it and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a good film, but and actually some things that are more interesting. Let me see what's going on there. So actually, in some ways, it probably helps draw the crowd to watch stuff that they haven't seen before.
Yeah. Even though that universe is technically bye-bye now, but hey, you know.
Yeah, well, we'll get to the end of that at the end of this.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. And what did you think of the story?
It gave me Flashpoint vibes, but baby Flashpoint vibes. So I was like, yeah, that's all right.
I guess it made sense of what it was going to do because you couldn't do this story did you think it took a while to get to the point where that was going to happen? Not that time though, but I was like, from the trailers and everything. I know that I watched all the trailers, but you know when you read all the stuff, you just assume the main meat of it will happen quicker.
Yeah, which I kind of happy it didn't, if that makes any sense.
Because it then gave you like you had enough backstory going in there.
Yeah. Rather than just like, oh, this happened, now we're here. You're like, oh, wait, what?
I was like, oh,
how did we get to here? But
yeah. And I thought a lot of things made sense if you watching the Snyder version of the Justice League film where Barry turns back time.
Yeah.
And then other things started making more sense within this film because of that.
Yeah. Which they make a reference to that, didn't they?
Everything they made a good couple of references. So as far as this film was concerned, this is what I believe anyways. Yeah? You could say that Justice League 2017 was the prequel to this film, or you can say the Snyder Cut. I don't think it conflicts in each other either way.
No.
But there's scenes as they reference scenes from the Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
Even though it's like surface level scenes where you're like, all right, well, you know, it didn't have to. It could have happened off screen elsewhere.
Yeah.
Except for the bit where, where where there was a particular finger point. All right. As far as the story is concerned for you, what were you saying?
Yeah, no, I was just glad they stuck to their guns and didn't make it user friendly. I like some of the, because I thought it was gonna go one way and they went the other way with it. So I was like, that's pretty cool. It's not obvious.
Well, yeah. And if you talk about what I think you're going to, we're saying.
Yeah.
I don't think it was obvious until, but you until maybe 10 minutes before the sequence, I was like, actually, is this how that happens?
Yeah.
You know,
so like, okay.
Yeah. And not saying at that point the film's playing catch up to you.
No.
But you're waiting for you're waiting for how it affects the characters then. So in some ways, it builds suspense that way.
Yeah. I was happy with that.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Nods. Okay. You can only say no so much non-spoiler stuff about a film that's basically chock block full of.
Yeah.
But overall, would you recommend people to watch it?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah. It's a version of the Flashpoint, but there's like 5 different versions of Flashpoint, isn't it? There's the comics Flashpoint.
Yep.
There's the animated movie Flashpoint.
Yep.
There's the TV series Flashpoint.
Yep.
There's the film Flashpoint.
Yeah.
Is there any other Flash? No, there isn't, is there?
No, that's it, I believe. Yeah, all different in their own little ways.
Yeah. This obviously. Would you say is the best? Okay, which Flashpoint would you say is the best interpretation of? Well, as a single, don't say like best interpretation of the comics, right? Because then you'd have to see the comics, yeah. The best Flashpoint as a storyline.
Probably would be the animated movie one.
Yeah. Because
it's more close to the comics, and you can get way more animated.
Oh, it's true. Yeah, I was gonna say this is a spectacle, and there's certain logic that works within this film as well.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that Barry Allen gets away with changing the timeline in the comics with no consequences, right? And technically, it wasn't him; it was Dr. Manhattan later on, right? At least he learns a lesson here.
Yeah, which is
as he did in the TV series as well. But the TV series was they didn't go into they have the budget for all the shenanigans they could have had.
The TV version did it more subtly, and I think it was neat as well. So that makes sense, rather than all over.
And I think it feels like the TV version did it quicker than it should have. As in, he should have stayed in that Flashpoint world as it's. Not crumbling around it, but just be like, I want this, but I know I have to change that, you know? I think it could have lasted a bit more in that Flashpoint world, because then things started going wrong. But in the TV series Flashpoint world, wasn't as world-bendingly changing as the comics or the movie or anything like that.
It was a bit, because it changed Diggle from having a...
Oh, no. What I'm saying is, like, there was massive changes in like the Atlantean Amazon War and stuff like that.
Yeah. But but they were established in the Flash that TV show. None of that stuff sort of established. You can't be like, hey, there's Atlanteans. Like, wait, what? Yeah,
exactly. All right, let's get to non-spoilers.
Yes, non-spoilers. Yeah, non-spoilers. So the CGI bit you're talking about, which like, might as well talk about your headcanon thing about that now.
Oh, no. Well, we're going to get is way later on in the movie.
Yeah, because I'm not going to go like proper scene by scene because I can't.
All
remember that.
Well, I was gonna say because when the multiverse starts coming together, you could say because worlds are colliding. Yeah, they haven't taken a full form yet.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, all the separate timelines and stuff, like, they're merging, and that's why CG faces look like CG faces.
Yeah.
It doesn't explain the babies that go in the microwave and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
But you can say temporary worlds that are splintering and starting to meld and bond, or stuff like that. They don't need to look real because they haven't.
They may or may not exist. Yeah.
Yeah, and haven't fully melded together. So yeah.
That's my kind of headcanon for it as well.
Yeah. But the basic plot, it starts with the Flash having to Batman Bruce Wayne, Ben Affleck.
Yep.
Calls the Flash to help him because the hospital in Gotham is collapsing or something like that.
Yeah.
Right. And he has to go and chase criminals that have a virus.
Yep. One of the Falcone kids.
Yeah. So Flash does the Flash stuff, right?
Yes, that's the best way of putting it.
Runs up the building, rescues the babies and stuff.
Yep.
Puts in Michael. It was a nice scene, but I think the baby CG was a bit too fake for me.
But to be fair, any film the CG for babies can look terrible anyway.
Yeah. But that was fun. Batman chasing criminals doing Batman stuff was fun.
Broad daylight as well. Like,
Yeah. Well, I didn't mind the costume in broad daylight because it made sense, right?
Yeah.
It just looked a bit of it looked more prototype than his current costumes, which is fair enough because it's daytime costume and he's chasing people. He's gone about this enough times. He knows that if he's grappling a truck, he's probably going to hit the ground. Yeah. So you need to reinforced armor. Yeah. Right. But I think he should have had the big bat across the entire chest plate rather than split across 3 sections. That looked a bit weird to me.
Didn't mind it.
Yeah. So good action scene at the beginning of it. Where Wonder Woman also helped Batman.
Yep. A nice cameo from Wonder Woman. Probably last time we were going to see her.
Yeah. Yeah. See, the thing is though, with the alternate endings they had, it was one of those things where you're like, all right, I understand why this is at the front. But then when they changed it, they're like, all right. So this kind of is a bit, Yeah.
Her swan song. That was
exactly.
Cool.
And I don't say necessarily inconsequential, but it gets good action in the beginning. It introduces certain characters that, if they had the other, DCEU continued ending, this would have made more sense. But it's good action scene, and it kind of sets the tone for how, like, Barry and Batman's friendship, kind of.
Yeah.
And because after that,
well, it was a bit of a funny joke where the lasso of truth, where Batman's about to drop and the Falcone kid, and if the chemicals they had got into the sea, basically everyone in Gotham's dead. So what they're about to fall, Wonder Woman uses the lasso of truth to catch him, and then Batman is talking about how he became Batman to get rid of his problems. It's like really weird stuff, I think Batman would say. Yeah. And then the Flash touches it, and then the Flash embarrasses himself by, I know sex is a thing, but I haven't done it with anyone. And like, wait, what? It's like, that's funny. Bless him.
And then they take off the lasso, and then he's like, I mean, not sex. I mean, it was a metaphor for something else that and then he's like, no, there's no recovering from this, is it? And I was like, no.
That was funny.
Yeah. So is this where Barry he runs off to his childhood home right away?
Nah, because the thing.
No, it speaks. Yeah, go on.
That's when he goes back to get his. He goes back to the crime scene, CCPD, Kansas City Police Department, and he's late for his job again, and he gets chewed out by his manager, who used to be in EastEnders. Yeah, a lot of this film's filmed in London. Yeah.
And get bullied by his other intern cohorts, which are like, but this is not high school, because they come across as really
douchey.
Yeah, high school kiddish for me, and I'm like, unfortunately, there are people who like that at work, so fair enough.
But it seemed like I didn't mind because they're all still like, because even in this, he's not a crime scene investigator properly yet. He's like a junior, innit? So I was like,
yeah, they're like,
still kids.
go get me coffee, and he's like, yeah, no, go get me coffee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
and then so then they're walking out, and I think this is where he gets reminded that his dad's court case is tomorrow. Because oh no, he's walking out, and Detective Singh or Captain Singh, whatever his name is, whatever he is at this moment in this film, I can't remember.
Well, I don't think they call him any name, do they? But we just assume he's Captain Singh because he's Indian.
Yeah, and Barry's boss.
Yeah. It's not racial profiling.
No.
It would just apply some, logical deduction.
Oh well, according to Wikipedia, it's David Singh. So yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Singh. Yeah. So then he's like, "Oh, we should have given me more time for the evidence to check things." They're like, "No." And then this is where Iris West comes in, and she's like, "Hey, I remember you we went to college together and school." Like, "Oh yeah, how you doing?" And then
and didn't we see each other a couple of days, at some point?
Yeah,
and,
referencing
the Snyder Cut.
Yeah, and he's like, "Well, what are you talking about?" Yeah. And then she asked him about his dad's case because you asked me as a friend or a journalist. She's like, "Well, a bit of both." Then he gets a bit antsy about it, and then goes home. And this is where he calls his dad, and his dad's like, "Yeah." No, as he goes home and he finds a USB stick from Bruce Wayne with footage of his dad in the convenience store.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. His dad doesn't look up, so you don't know if it's him or not.
Yeah. And then Barry's on the phone to his dad, basically explains that to him. And then this way he runs to his childhood home while his dad's saying, like, "You know what, Barry, let's just forget it. It's fine. We knew this was a long shot. I'm kind of glad that I am in here. Because knowing that she's not... Being out there, knowing that she's not... Being out in the free world, knowing she's dead, would be harder for me." And then this one, Barry's like,
Yeah. So, like I say, he runs to his childhood home, and then you get kind of like the flashback of exactly what happened there.
Yeah.
Which his dad left to get some tin of tomatoes.
Yeah.
Because his mum forgot the whatever it is for the pasta recipe.
Yeah.
No, they're talking to Barry about because he's trying to solve. He's trying to solve an
equation.
Yeah. Which is weird because you're like, right. How many? If there's too many answers for the question, then how does that work? Why would a school teacher put a question like that in a quiz?
Because she hates kids. That's why.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I'm like, wait a minute. Just hold on a second. Are you trying to cause the kid to have a meltdown?
Yup.
Yeah. But yeah. So she's like, unfortunately, not everything has an answer.
No.
Which is the lesson, like young Barry's just to learn about this, But it's just what it comes across is like unfair things can happen, right? Someone can be out of order to you.
Yeah,
and you kind of like because you don't know how to respond. You're like, all right, well,
yeah, okay,
all right, it is what it is.
Yeah, well, it's a good lesson to be fair.
Yeah. I think so. He comes upstairs, and next thing you hear screaming downstairs.
Yeah. No, he hears. No, he looks out and sees his dad.
Yeah.
Coming through the back, just parking up the car. Then he hears screaming.
Yeah.
And then that's when his dad comes in, finds his mum on the floor with a knife in her chest.
Yeah. And his hand on the knife, off the knife, kind of thing, right? Like he's gonna put it out or he put it in.
Yeah.
Dun,
Yeah.
I like that they did it in the way where it could have happened, but then the way that Ron Livingston is playing Henry Allen, you're like, nah, he didn't do it blatantly.
Yeah. Like,
no mystery,
Yeah. Kind of like, why would he? You know what I mean? Like,
And I'm glad that actually at this point they don't wrap up that storyline of a random who did it.
Yeah.
No doubt if it was a sequel, Professor Zoom Form would have done it, but because he does everything, right?
Yeah.
But as far as it being just a random attack, yeah, Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. So
Makes it a little bit fresher as well.
Yeah. And then this is where he runs off that, well, as a Flash. He gets on the phone to his dad. And then he just keeps running. And then he enters the Speed Force. But then he goes beyond the Speed Force, because then that's when he starts being able to... He starts running... Because he stops. I think trying to slow himself down, he starts running backwards. Yeah,
which is really weird when you're looking at it, because you're like... Who runs like that?
Yeah, they look awesome. Like, that's weird.
And it's not like he runs backwards, right? He's run backwards while his top half is moving forwards.
Yeah.
It's not like the whole of him is running backwards.
Yeah.
That's why he looks a bit wacky.
Yeah.
I would have preferred him just running forward and then bursting through the time stream and then like going back through time, because it just would have made sense. Why his legs going the wrong way? That that's just a bit weird.
I don't know. To me, it kind of makes sense. Like, okay, because he's going backwards in time, you would have to go backwards.
Yeah.
If you're running forward,
I got that, but I was like,
to me, weird. That makes more sense than flying around the world the opposite direction. That to me makes no. To this day, makes no sense.
Wait. You're talking about sci-fi from the 70s, there, man.
Yeah, I know. Where that makes sense, does it?
Yeah. But yeah. So Barry, runs into the Speed Force.
Yeah. It's the Speed Force. Yeah, and then he notices he's in the Speed Force. Then he tries to get out of it, but we're saying he runs backwards. Then he starts seeing the day go, like he starts seeing the images of the day going backwards.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like, what? Possible time travel? So
Yep.
That's when he sticks his head out, doesn't he? And he sees the day before.
Yeah.
Then he comes out of it. Well, we don't see him come out of it. We just see him.
He's talking to. He's telling Ben Affleck, Bruce Wayne.
Yep.
This is what happened during that day, and it's I can do something about the past, and he's Bruce Wayne's like, don't mock about stuff, right?
Oh, wait, you forgot a bit where he makes reference to Snyder's verse again, when he goes, like you did in place, they had the final battle in Justice League. I can't remember the place it was. I was going to say Basan, but
Chernobyl, right?
Yeah. He goes, like you did then. He goes, yeah, that was only for a few seconds back then. This time I did it for a day. He's like, oh. That's when, the bit you were saying, where he goes, don't mess up time.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I like the way that Ben Affleck played Batman here, because he's like world weary. He's been like, I've been through a lot, man, in my day, and I'm just not necessarily at the end of my rope, but it's just like, yeah, man, I've seen everything, I've done everything. I just, yeah.
It is what it is, yeah.
It's just like, I do this my parents' name and stuff like that, and it's just like, it's hitting hard, and I'm getting old.
Yeah, and he's like, plus the things that happen to us make us who we are. So should we really change that? That's why he's got a point.
Yeah.
You don't want to be messing around with things.
Yeah, exactly. But Barry being Barry, he don't listen. Yep.
Well,
he's like,
he is gonna listen, but then he meets Iris, because she comes to his house. Goes, you know what? I was kind of a bit of a dick the other day. Yesterday, we should talk more about it. So then they're talking, and then I think she brings up something weird about time travel, and he goes, wait, if I do this,
so she's kind of interviewing him, not interviewing him. She's like, she was like, before I was trying to on the record you, but now this is just off the record. Look, I was a bit being too investigative reporter-ish.
Yeah.
So
rather than being a friend.
Let's just be friends. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's speak like people, and he's like, then he's like, oh yeah, if you could change time, like, stuff like that, because he's talking about the situation that just happened between them, and if you could alter it, and then she's like, yeah, well, there's minor things that whatever, right? And he's like, oh yeah, so if I don't make huge changes but small changes, you can make readjustments that will alter things that still get the intended consequences without causing mass changes. And she's like, what are you talking about?
Like, huh?
Yeah. And he's like continuing, like, oh yeah, so if I have the tomato tin and move it there, right? then they can see him on the camera, and they're like, yeah. Oh, I can put. But he's like, I put the tomato in that. Yeah, if she doesn't forget the tomatoes, it never happens. Yes, that's right.
You're like, okay.
And then he's like, I gotta go. It's been great. He's leaving his own house.
Yeah.
He's telling the person in his house that he's gotta go.
That's hilarious. It doesn't make any sense.
And then after he steps out, he steps back in, and I'm at this point thinking, he's gonna say, actually, it's my house. Why did I leave like that? No, he actually says, I had a great time. I'll see you next time. And then he goes. I'm like, all right.
Like, okay. Cool. Yeah, it's like, all right. So then that's when he runs into the Speed Force again.
Mm-hmm.
And then he enters Speed Force and starts running backwards. And then we start seeing lots of things that's previously happened in the DCEU. Because we see a CGI Superman fighting the Justice League.
You see the CGI Aquaman doing the finger point to the Flash after he crashed into him.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see they reverse like all the way past Man of Steel and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then a black figure with diamond-like protrusions.
Yeah.
Kind of hidden blades.
Yeah.
Barry Allen out the timeline is the best way to put it.
Pretty much, yeah. So the boys go, nah. And he's like, ah.
All right. Yeah, and I was like, oh, okay. All right. And he just spirals out there, and he's like, where am I? What's going on here?
Yeah.
And so then he what he does, he sees an old couple there, and he just kind of dashes to them and takes some of their clothes.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, okay.
But it's more like cardigans and stuff like that they were wearing but not wearing. And then he's like, all right, I'm outside my childhood home. Let me go in there and see what's up.
Yeah.
And I was like, it'd be really fun if he walks in there and his parents aren't in there. It's some other.
Yeah, that's what I thought was going to happen. He's like, and then he goes, gone back too far or something.
Yeah. Yeah, because they only showed the back of the female in there, the lady, right? And you're thinking, all right, at this point, and when she turns around, she's going to be someone else, and he's going to say mom, and then she's going to be like, get out. But no, it turns out his mom is alive, so he's like, all right, and his dad comes back, and they're like, Barry, you're kind of looking a bit older, right?
Yeah. He's like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah, but I was like, you should have just made a joke about the clothes he was wearing.
Yeah.
Because he stole them off other people, and that just made him look prematurely older than.
Yeah, you're like, oh.
Fashion choices, you know what I'm saying?
Your fashion choice is terrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no.
But he's blabbering about how he loves his mum. Oh, of course I'll stay for lunch, dinner, whatever it is, right? And he's just kind of asking his parents how they are, and clearly, if this was my child and he was acting super hyper, I'd be like,
"Are you on drugs?"
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
At this point, he's basically drunk on happiness of seeing them. You know, he's overwhelmed. So yeah, but yes, to them, they'd be like, someone coked him up.
Yeah. Okay, that's not weird.
Yeah. Then he sees his past self coming towards the house.
Yeah.
So he's got to dash out and intercept them.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, stop."
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny because he kind of like hide his face, like pretend like he's some sort of weird mugger sort of thing.
Yeah.
The other one's screaming like, "Ah, ah!" And then he shows him that it's him. He's like, even more confused. Like, this is even more reason for me to scream if I'm on it.
Yeah.
Seeing me from the future.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And then Barry asks younger Barry what year it is, and he says it's 2013, and he's like, "Oh, I'm about 18 years old." All right.
Yep. Sure. Makes sense.
And then next scene, they're in Barry's childhood bedroom. Somehow they got up there without the parents noticing. Whatever, right?
Yeah.
We're just gonna assume super speed.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Or one of them could just walk in and then the other one could speed up. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and older Barry's just telling younger Barry, "Look, I've got to get back to I'm you, but I've got to get back to my time, right?"
Yeah.
And your parents are alive, right? Obviously, he's not trying to spill too much about what's going on, but he's just trying to say things are different. But I've got to get back to my time because I don't know what happened, why I've been splintered off here.
He's like, okay.
And then younger Barry's like, oh yeah, well I would love to do stuff with you, bro, but I got a date tonight.
Yeah.
And he's like, you got a date? Yeah, date with Iris. And he's like, no, wait a minute, that didn't happen.
He's like, oh, this past me is a winner. I'm a
yeah.
loser.
But he's like, unfortunately, past me, due to the date that is today, you're gonna have to be a loser because today is the day you should get struck by lightning.
Yeah, you're like, oh, great.
And the other one's like, I get powers?
Yeah, he's like, haven't you been listening this whole time?
So they dash off to the older version of Barry.
Oh, there was a funny bit as well where he's like, okay, I need to erase this guy's memory. Yeah. Then he's about to punch him in super speed.
Oh yeah.
Wait, how much force do you need to punch someone so they forget? And he's wait a minute. And if I punch him, do I get a scar in the future? I'm confused. And he just stops. The guy's like, "What are you doing?" He's like,
No. He stops because he's like, "Wait a minute. He just said he's gonna have a date with Iris. No, he's gonna have a date."
Is that? Oh, I thought he just stopped because he didn't want to.
No. Yeah, like the way I saw it is like he was like, "Wait a minute. The guy said he had a date tonight."
Oh.
Yeah. And then that's when he asks him about who his dating and stuff like that. Yeah. But he's like, later. Got to rush him off to the Central City Police Department.
Yeah.
Get struck by lightning. And they phase. So, all the. Barry Prime, we'll call him, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah. And younger Barry's the other one. Barry Prime phases younger Barry through the Central City Police Department locked door.
Yeah. And
you zoom in and have to see the molecules just go through one another.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and the other one's screaming, ah! Which was kind of funny.
Yeah.
And then Barry Prime is saying to younger Barry, all right, you're sitting here, the chemicals were over there, right? You get struck by lightning, yeah? And covered in chemicals. And then younger Barry's like, what?
You never said anything about lightning. Yeah.
Yeah. So Barry Prime is trying to hold younger Barry down, saying, because this is the time, this is the place, this is all going to happen. He's trying to... Yeah, younger Barry's a bit afraid of getting hurt, of course, right? So then the lightning hits the shelf with the chemicals, goes through Barry Prime and into younger Barry.
Yeah.
Knocking out one of Barry Prime's teeth.
Yeah. With him flying into young Barry's mouth, which is disgusting.
Yeah. So then young Barry, so they're both on the floor being electric shocked and stuff like that. Younger Barry coughs out the tooth. Barry Prime's like, "Oh, dude, you missed the tooth." And then he's like, "Actually, I think it's my tooth."
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, yes.
Yeah." And then, younger Barry is got super speed healing, and he's like, "Yes, all right. Well, at least that worked. All right, let me super glue this teeth back to me, and we will leave." Right? And younger Barry being groggy and out of it because he just got hit by Speedball's powers.
Yeah.
So then Barry Prime lifts him up in the bridal carry.
Yeah.
Tries to phase through a wall, and they both just smack into it.
So funny. Yeah.
And then Barry Prime's like, right, let me try this again without him.
Yeah.
Runs into a wall, smacks it again, and it's like, all right, ow, something's wrong.
Yep.
Okay, let me try to run super speed, and
this is funny,
he does that ice skating style run.
Yeah.
In circles, which looks so silly.
Yep.
When it's not in with that CG background and all that stuff.
Yeah.
When they're not running through the timeline or the time waves and stuff, right?
Oh, that's so stupid.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, what?" I think obviously they completely play up cartoonishly over the top.
Because he thinks he's going fast, and he's actually going nowhere. It's just funny.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't have powers. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you've got powers, Barry. So younger Barry, even though they've got Barry, right?
Yeah.
100% talking to himself. Yeah. So Barry Prime has got to train younger Barry how to use the powers.
Yeah.
Which is an obstacle. But the thing is, when you look at it, like if both of them had their powers peak.
This movie over in like 2 minutes. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was like, all right, fair enough.
But I was at this point, I was wondering, like, does he lose his powers like he does in the comics and that? So when it's actually happens, like, okay, they actually are doing it. Cool. That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, because it gives Barry Prime a character arc.
Yeah.
And it gives younger Barry his character arc.
Yeah.
As well. But yeah, he's like, all right, well, so they're walking around town.
Now they get back to their Barry's apartment.
No, is this? Then they find out the broadcast about General Zod before.
No, that's afterwards.
Is it?
Yeah, because they get back to his apartment, and that's when he tells them about his speed and stuff, and that's when he learns he phases through the ground and accidentally.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I was clearly thinking about the second time they returned to the. Wait, hold on. How many times did they go back to the apartment?
Only this, because we go back, and then he tells them about the powers and stuff, and then basically destroys the bottom of Central City by accident because he doesn't know about he needs friction-proof clothes and stuff.
Yeah.
And then he comes back to the apartment, and then he asks his Prime Barry about how to phase. He goes, "Oh, you just do this, He goes, okay, he phases through the ground, goes into the bottom naked.
Prime Barry's like, it took me years to learn.
Yeah.
And then young Barry just does it.
Yeah.
I'm like, right, okay. I mean, in some ways, they do have to fast forward his training. At the same time, it does lead to something later on because he thinks he gets a better handle on stuff than he should.
Yeah. And then this is when he goes to explain, tries to explain him something else, and that's when he falls asleep. So they both fall asleep in the apartment.
Yeah.
And that's when they wake up, and his roommates are there, and it's Patty. It's the two people from Central City PD we met earlier.
Yeah.
And their friend Gary. Yep. And then this is when Prime Barry realizes that what he's done has split off to a different timeline because they're talking about Back to the Future, and he keeps saying Michael J. Fox, and like, no, it's Eric Stoltz. And like, we talking about. And then he goes, Michael J. Fox is. And he's like, no, Michael J. Fox is in
Top Gun.
And they're like,
and they go, no, that was Tom Cruise. No, Tom Cruise was in Footloose.
Yeah, like, wait a minute. And then that's when he Googles, like, oh, this is a different timeline. And then this is when Zod comes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And he goes, what day is it? He goes, oh, this is like, oh. Bad news. This is when the Kryptonians invade. We are screwed.
Yeah. We got to put the Justice League together. We got to check out Victor Stone. They check Victor Stone. He's not a picture of what's his name? Ray Fisher. No, yeah. They used the back of a generic football team.
Yep.
All right, fair enough.
As he's suing him.
Yeah. They call Arthur Curry's house.
Yep.
Well, no, they call it the lighthouse, but Arthur Curry's dad is like, nah, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. And Barry's like,
my dog?
Yeah. He goes, have you ever fallen in love with an Atlantean queen of whatever? And he's like, shut up, man.
Oh, yeah.
Diana doesn't exist. Diana's not contactable because she doesn't. They can't find it. Kal-El is there's no Superman around. No Kal-El. No Clark Kent. I mean.
Yeah.
Not their specific Clark Kent, anyways. Because he's a certain age.
Yeah.
And they're looking for crashes, like meteorite crashes or something like that.
Yeah. And then they go, that's one person we can look for. And then they go to Wayne Manor.
Yeah. They're like, oh, there's no Superman, there's no Cyborg, there's no Wonder Woman, there's no Aquaman, there's no Batman, and then alternate Patty Spivak goes, I'm Batman. Right? Yeah. And she's like, wait a minute. They're like, wait a minute. Batman exists in this universe?
He's like, but no one knows who he is, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. And he disappeared a while ago. I'm like, all right, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, so at least he went to the confirmed as this. For strange reason, he did not type Bruce Wayne into the computer, but you know.
Yeah. But I guess the last thing you got to think about that time, really, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, he thought of everyone else but him.
Yeah.
Conveniently, by the way, for storyline purposes.
To be fair, let's find the people who have powers first, then this guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Actually, that's a good point. That's probably why. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't think of it at the time. I was just like, because I knew that Batman was in the film. I was like, why is he not saying Batman?
Yeah, it's obvious, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So Barry, Prime, and younger Barry go to Wayne Manor. Classic Wayne Manor from 1989.
Yep.
They're trying to walk around. The place is a bit decrepit.
Yeah. No one seems to have been there for ages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And they walk around to the kitchen. Then wait when pasta's boiling and stuff like that. So water's obviously working and stuff. Flash, Barry's calling like, Bruce, are you around? And I know you hear stuff like that. You hear someone stealth creeping.
Yeah.
From the kitchen cabinet across the table.
I did it because you see it in the background, like kind of like out of focus. Like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Gets a broomstick, smacks Prime Barry across the head. I think does he throw the broomstick? He tries to kick younger Barry, misses.
Yeah.
Right. Then he throws something at Barry Prime, hits him in the head. Throws another thing at younger Barry, who sidesteps it.
Yeah.
And then he kicks Barry Prime again, and then he throws a saucepan, I think, at.
He tries to. He moves that. Then he goes to like dive for him.
Yeah.
And he's like, and he moves that away, and he goes for and then that's when Bruce goes for the table.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, not
Bruce, by the way, Colin, sorry.
Well, I just spotted that person who goes for the table. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, with shaggy hair and a beard and everything like that. And you're like, all right.
Sure.
And then it's like, this is Bruce Wayne, aka Batman.
Yep.
And then so they took Michael Keaton, right?
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, that's great, that's cool. And somehow, even in his 70s, he's really slick with his fighting ability, or however old he's meant to be there, right? Late 60s or something like that.
I'd probably say, yeah, probably late 60s, maybe 50. They always try to make people younger than they are, but
yeah. And then Barry Prime's like, I went back through time, did this, well, no. Bruce is reiterating his name. So you're telling me, right? This is what you went through time, back in time, and you thought that there weren't going to be any consequences. See, like, this is how timeline works, and I'm glad they explain it. By the way, the rules within this movie.
Yeah.
Because different time travel movies have different time travel logic, right?
Yeah.
And as far as changing the past is concerned, to make this movie work, you have to change further into the past.
Yeah.
So Bruce is like, okay, here's the cooked spaghetti, right? And sometimes you have things that crisscross over that are similar, right? And you have alternate timelines and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you change one strand, you change you splinter it, you change the past of that strand as well.
Yeah.
Like, as well as the future. So yeah, it tweaks at a central point that might cross over. However, everything else is different.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, yeah. Mm-hmm. I buy that.
Yeah, I like the way you explain that. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, and then what you did, you caused a massive mess, and then he puts over his ground meat and cover everything with the pasta sauce, and it's like you caused a massive conundrum of things start merging together as well. Splatter. And then he gets to Parmesan and starts scraping on top, right?
Yeah.
Younger Barry's like, what's that metaphor for? And Barry,
the garnish.
yeah, exactly. Barry Prime's like, no, that's just.
Oh, that was funny. Yeah, you're saying like it's always a fulcrum point where something has to happen. Yeah, which comes
as far as he believes time travel works, anyways, because how many adventures has this Bruce Wayne had with time travel? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, he's had enough time to like learn stuff because he did say that his Gotham City is like the safest place on Earth right now because he won his war against crime, I guess. So yeah, you know.
Yeah. Which, by the way, slightly contradicts what happens in Crisis on Infinite Earths. Because at the beginning of that, Alexandra Knox is sitting on a newspaper, sitting on the bench with a newspaper, and you got a back signal showing there. So, and as you cleaned up, and between the 4 years of that and this, and then grew out a beard.
But it's a different timeline.
Yeah, exactly. I would say this is the melded Earth of that timeline.
Maybe.
Yeah, because that timeline did not have a Kryptonian Earth. What's it called? Kryptonians invading it. So yeah, which is like what I was saying to you before about having how the CG is dodgy, but you can say that's because the timelines haven't been set together.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah. They're like, all right, well, General Zod's going to invade Earth, so we need to kind of get the Justice League. We try to get the Justice League together, but they don't exist.
Yeah. So you're all we got, and then this is when you join us. It's like, nope, and then he walks away. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then after that, the Barrys go down to the Batcave.
Yeah.
And he uses the computer to still try and look for Clark Kent. He realizes he still can't find him. But then he does find out about a meteor that crashed in Russia. Yeah. So that's where they think they're holding the Kryptonian.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then while he's looking for all that stuff, other Barry's just being a young, impulsive teenager as you are.
Yeah, a super fanboy because he's like, oh, I'm at Batman's place, I'm at Batman's house.
Yeah.
And he's like, Barry, this stuff is really cool and stuff like that. And all the Barry's like, shut up, boy.
Yeah.
I've had enough of you.
Yeah.
Is this how I really am? Is this why people don't like me?
Yeah, you're like, no, because you're not that bad.
Yeah. He's like, he dresses them down for being a bit too untamed, right? Yeah. But it's like, look, man, something's up, right? Like even young Barry clocks there's something up, and it's not just on me why Barry Prime is having a bit of a mental breakdown right now.
Yeah. Because like you got to remember, like this Barry, like young Barry, hasn't gone through like the trauma in his life, so he's normally adjusted, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And kind of Barry Prime kind of like apologized to him, saying like I didn't mean to. I mean, like, and young Barry's like, it's all cool. I didn't mean to interrupt your search for, you're trying to save the world and stuff like that. And I was a bit overkill, I have to admit. Look,
yeah.
I was just trying to. I haven't seen all this stuff. I don't know about anything. So I'll tell you what. I'll settle down you and leave you be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
and he's like, yeah. But we're cool. We're cool. Like,
cool.
Yeah.
And then this is Prime Barry's looking on the back desk. He finds a pen, and it says something from Alfred. And that's when he goes, I know you're watching, because he looks at the back computer and there's like a little red light flashing on the camera, and he goes to Bruce, I know you're watching, and you had Alfred just like my Bruce had Alfred, and I can't remember what you said after that. It was something meaningful.
It's just like, essentially, Alfred would want you to help me or something like that.
Yeah.
If you could change that time to have them, you did this in the name of your parents. And if you could do something for them, you spent your life trying to save the world. Yeah. So help me save it, essentially.
Yeah. And he's like, and he's when he says like, Bruce on my world he's basically my best friend, and he would help me, and I think Alfred would want you to help me do it. And he's like, okay.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, I'll take you to Siberia.
Yeah.
And that is it. Oh yeah, we also forgot to say about Prime Barry giving Kid Barry the flash ring so he can wear a costume. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, because he said, "Oh, that's cool." So you give him the ring, and younger Barry presses the button, and the suit pops out.
Yeah.
And then what it does is just flops on the floor.
Yeah. And
Barry's like, Barry Prime is like, you're meant to get in it.
Yeah, before
you're meant to get in it before it's the ground. He goes, oh, I didn't know. I just assumed that it'd go on top of me. He goes, why would it go on top of me?
Yeah, and
he's
like, plus, we've got to get undressed in front of everyone. It's like, it happens so quick, no one's going to see you. He's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, and he's in the suit. Yeah.
Yeah.
which is pretty cool. Yeah, it's going back to forwards in time. Then they get to Siberia. I keep saying it's probably Siberia. I don't really know.
Somewhere in Russia, right?
Somewhere in Russia, yeah, in the wastelands of Russia. Batman takes him there.
Because he's in the suit now. That's why we call him Batman.
Yeah. So he takes him there, and you see the bit from the trailer where they're like, "Oh, your parachutes are in your chairs," and then you look at Batman and goes, "Where's yours?" He just smirks, and then he comes off his ejector seat and he glides away, and then they fall out. There's parachutes, whatever. Yeah.
So they get into the Batman's into the facility because he's Batman, right?
Yeah.
The Flash is climbed down.
Yep.
Oh no! This way he phases through the manhole.
Yes.
Which he should have just fell to the bottom of that because he couldn't control it. But anyways, he falls a certain distance and then I think he opens up the latch to let Barry Prime down.
Yeah.
And then when they get at the bottom, even though he's in his bright red suit, and you're like, all right, it's a bit dark down there, so maybe you can hide. Except that he can't.
Yeah.
And he turns around, he knocks over some canisters.
Yep.
And people look at him. Then he tries to turn around the other way, knocks over a broom and some other stuff.
Yeah.
And then at this point, they're like, what? Like more eyes on him, and then they're like, uh-oh, and then he turns and he knocks some more stuff, so everyone just comes converging.
Yeah. And then they're about to get shot at.
Yeah.
So then he uses his super speed to move one bullet from hitting Barry Prime.
Yeah.
Then he looks over and sees the other guards are going to shoot. So he grabs Barry Prime, runs him around the corner. He's going to get shot. And he goes, "Did you just..." And before he even finishes that sentence, he just starts vomiting because I don't think... Obviously, he's not used to being moved at the speed of sound or whatever.
Yeah.
Why he's not the Flash, so he starts vomiting.
Yeah.
And then there's the guards come to advance on him, and then we hear... And Batman's on one of the ledges, and he flies down, glides down, kicks the crap out of all of them using his back.
Yeah, Arkham Asylum deep down mode.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's pressed X, Y parry, yeah.
Yeah. Which look amazing, by the way, right?
Yeah.
The thing is, that my logic was, hold on a minute, yeah? After watching the old Batman films, he didn't have to move this much in those films.
No.
So you could argue he was stronger in those films, because when he knocked people down, they stayed down, right?
Yeah.
He had to do combos and stuff like that. Even though he moved slicker, and the action looked much better, right?
Yeah.
It's just the fact is, back then he just barely had to move and he could knock someone down.
Yeah.
Obviously, the action wasn't advanced, but I was just saying it's kind of funny when you look at the logic of punch a guy, he falls down, punch a guy multiple times and stuff like that for coolness.
Yeah. Like, okay, sure.
Yeah. But what was good is he's using all his gadgets and stuff like that. He basically showed that even though this is Batman, X amount of decades later, he's still doing the stuff that Batman can do.
Yeah, unrealistically, but yeah.
Yeah. But hey, Batman, it's Batman.
Yeah, Batman's on a Batman, so hey. Yeah. So then they dispose of those guards, and then they move their way through the facility, and then they find a capsule where they're holding a alien.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. That must be where they're keeping the Kryptonian that landed on Earth.
Yeah.
So they open it up. Batman tries to tries to hack it with his flip phone, and then Kid Barry's like, he's gonna do that with flip phone. He's like, yeah, he's Batman. So like, okay, and then Batman tries about 3 times and work, and then all of a sudden you see Kid Barry go, and then it unlocks, but then you see the keypads all in smoke. He goes, yeah, I tried every combination. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. You got.
And I have to say, now I don't know if you've ever tried to brute force a lock like that before, but. At a certain point, you lose track, but if you don't write down numbers, you forget the numbers you put in.
Yeah. Plus, I don't think the technology will be able to do all that. But anyway, story, it's whatever. So so then the pod they're keeping alien opens. They go in. Yeah. and
as far as Flashpoint is concerned in the comics, right? You know how like Kal-El did not have any sun rays or anything like that.
Yeah.
He just became gaunt and like very severely underpowered.
Yeah.
So when you see the figure, Gaunt and stuff like that, I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then
I don't know how much they tried to make it look like it wasn't supposed to be the like Henry Cavill Kal-El,
yeah.
but at this point you know, no sunlight, no nothing, short hair, and you're like, all right, could
cool.
it be?
Could be.
Yeah.
Could it
Yeah.
be? And then they see
Conveniently have the costume though with the S on the floor.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. And then they walk up to the figure and they realize, hey, that's not Clark / Kal-El. It's someone else. And
It's
Batman's like, oh,
a lady.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And Batman's like, oh, that's not him. Let's go. And then Batman and Kid Barry start walking off, and Barry Prime's like, no, we can't leave this person. We came here to save someone, so we'll save someone. So he grabs her and they walk out. And then as they're about to get out, this is where more of the Russian guards come.
Yeah.
He starts shooting. Batman puts up his cape because it's bulletproof and he starts shooting at him, whatever.
Yeah, his armor's bulletproof, yep.
Yeah, and then Kid Barry is about to run or something, and he gets shot in the kneecap, and he's like, ah! I didn't know I can get shot. He's like, what? Why did you not think we could get shot? I was like, I don't know, I just thought bullets would bounce off us. Like, that doesn't... Your logic
the suit ain't bulletproof, what are you talking about?
Yeah. And then, so, they are trapped where the pod where they find Supergirl is.
Yeah.
And there's no way out except for going down the bottom of the silo. So they're about to do that. And they fall down, they're about to fall down and shoot. While they're doing this, the Russians are like, no, we're going to crush him with the pod. Yeah. So they try to drop the pod on them. They escape, obviously, because, you know, it's a movie. And then they get out into the sunlight. And they think they're home free, but then all the Russian guards are up there to meet them, and they're about to surrender. Yeah, and
because younger Barry's got that he's got shot in the leg, so obviously he can't do nice. Barry Prime doesn't really have any capability whatsoever, and Batman can only handle so many people with bullets going to shoot him.
Yeah.
But then Supergirl hits the sunlight and. Then she starts. Well, I wouldn't say she starts murdering people because she doesn't punch their heads off, right? But with the power of the punch is that they flip like ragdolls.
Yeah,
they should have detached their necks from their spines.
They probably did, to be fair, because you don't see anyone moving afterwards. So.
Oh yeah. No, but I'm literally like, it should have been Mortal Kombat uppercut heads off bodies. Is like the power that she. But because she's punching them, she's not palm thrusting them, or palm pushing them. She's like,
well, a lot of them she's just pushing them, like she's like shoving them, and obviously because she's strong and they go flying and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that she did definitely sure you can someone though.
Yeah.
She takes a whole bunch of them down. Which at one point where she's shoving the gun that's pointed at Batman's face.
Yeah.
Into the other guy. That's where he looks a bit rubbery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh. But. Yeah, so she defeats all of them and then collapses.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they take her back to the Batcave.
Yeah.
And they try and run tests on her. And then she wakes up. And she's like, why have you got me? He's like, oh, we need your help because, we're looking for your cousin Kal-El. It's like, wait, Cal? Yeah. And she gives it back. So he's like, oh, he was an infant when we left. They sent him here, and I was meant to follow after him. I got here too late. And they're like, okay, I guess.
Yeah. Now, by the way, before this bit was explained, I thought, because I don't know if you remember Man of Steel way back, but when Kal-El first went into that Kryptonian spaceship, there was one pod that was already open.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that's how they were going to find Supergirl. As in, she I don't know, because they never came back to that. I thought, all right. Yeah. But she got caught by the Russians afterwards or whatever. But apparent. But yeah. So the open pod in Man of Steel just was never explained at all. All right, fair enough.
Well, there was no sequel, so yeah.
Yeah. And actually, some theories, by the way, was that open pod contained a Kryptonian who then spawned off to create Amazon somehow, like by breeding. I don't know. You know, like when they're doing a relationship, whatever, right? I don't know. Yeah.
But then when would that wait?
Yeah, because they remember that pod, that Kryptonian spaceship landed there hundreds of thousands of years ago.
Oh, was that a weird theory? Yeah, I remember seeing this recently. I was like, that makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure Krypton, right, blew up 30 years ago or whatever.
Yeah,
however age Spider-Man, Superman is.
Yeah. But I think they had Kryptonian scout ships going around.
Yeah, that makes
the
sense.
universe.
Because when they're trying to say that, I remember some other theory. We'll go back to this in a minute. That Zeus was a Kryptonian.
I don't know about that as well.
Yeah, that was one.
However, he was probably built like a Kryptonian from the way I saw him.
Yeah, I think that's what one of the things was going to do in the Snyderverse. Like that makes no sense.
Yeah.
All right, sure.
Yeah. Anyways. So the Barrys talk to Kara because she's like, I'm Supergirl. I'm Supergirl. Sorry, I'm Kara. Blah blah blah. Right?
Yeah.
Give a little backstory. The cousin of Kal-El. Where is he? I need to find him and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then she's like, almost flopping on the floor. So Barry Prime takes her up to the rooftop to give her.
Barry Prime tells Kid Barry takes her to the rooftop.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so she gets dressed in her costume and floats in the sunlight.
Yeah.
Younger Barry, being a gentleman, is like, is it okay to turn around now because you were just in a hospital gown or whatever it is, and
Yeah. Then he looks over, she's floating, glowing like she's a divine savior. I'm like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and they're asking her, look, there's Kryptonian invasion happening. Can you help us? And she's like, no, you people tortured me, so laters.
Yeah, you're like, ooh, she's got a point there.
Yeah. So she disappears, and Barry Prime's like, look, I need to get my powers back, right? Because this world's gonna fall apart.
Yeah,
it's not just gonna, Kryptonian invasion happened. You know how much power these people have. So they're like, but then Bruce is like, why do you want to save this world so bad?
Yeah.
What's the difference between this world and your world? Like, if you get your powers back, you can just run and go back to your timeline. You don't need to save this one. If we're done for, that's our fate, right?
Yeah.
And he goes, no, this is the timeline where my mum lives, so I want to save it.
Yeah.
And then Bruce is like, all right, I understand about wanting to save your parents. So
yeah. And then while they're talking about all this, younger Barry's sitting underneath the stairs.
Yeah, eating a banana, but he was like, he was there. He was just like listening in.
Yeah.
But it's like you're gonna save billions of people as well because you're gonna save this universe. So fair enough.
Yeah.
It's not just about saving my mum. It's about saving all these people.
Oh, and we also forgot to mention that Barry was there during the Kryptonian invasion in the original time.
Oh yeah. He was in his prototype Barry suit, which was just like kind of a leotard and a scarf over his face.
Leotard, like a balaclava and like duct tape places. Yeah.
Yeah. And he rescued one kid from the Kryptonian invasion.
Yeah.
And then he basically ran off because he didn't have control of his powers to do anything anyways, right?
Yeah.
But as well, how can he be going in there fighting a whole bunch of Kryptonians when he doesn't know what the hell's going on with himself?
Yeah.
It might cause more damage than help,
Yeah. So I thought, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, rescuing people fine. Fighting to stop it, like whatever is just but beyond him at that point.
Yeah.
So they have to recreate the the accident that caused Barry the Speed Force powers.
Yeah.
So Bruce Wayne, because he's not in the Batman costume, Bruce Wayne throws him a bat suit and says, like, put this on, it'll absorb some of the lightning and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It'll take some of the brunt of the hit. And he's like, nah, because the whole point is to take as much damage as possible, like, from the lightning as possible. And Bruce is like, all right, fair enough.
Sure. Yeah. Your funeral. Yeah.
Well, he's just like, well, you know what caused your powers to happen, so fair enough.
I wasn't there, so I don't know.
So they do that. Younger Barry's like, are you sure? Because this is not a good decision.
Yeah.
He goes, well, look, we got to save the world, right, Barry? And yeah, we do.
That's what us Barrys do. Like,
yeah. So Bruce pulls the lightning cable cord thing that then.
He has some weird setup to capture lightning. For some reason, I'm guessing Batman's done it before. Oh.
Yeah. Then the lightning hits the cable, goes down, shatters all the chemicals that spills over Barry. They burn him, and he's like, "Wah!" And they're like, "What's it called?" Younger Barry's like, "Stop! He's gonna die," and older Barry's like, no, I told you it wasn't speed healing. It's like, go again, we gotta go again, we gotta hit lightning again. But the generator fails. Yeah. And they're like, alright. Oh no, hold on, we skipped a bit as well. This is where Supergirl flies over to see the Kryptonian invasion.
Yeah.
And because they haven't, like, she's using a super hearing, and Zod's like, have you bought the Kryptonian
to me? Like,
yeah,
no.
And he's like, because obviously Kala doesn't exist here.
Yep.
They're like, no, we have no Kryptonian. And then Zod just basically backfists the guy's head off.
Just for that, this is declared war. I mean, you have declared this is an act of war, and he starts like murdering everyone. Like, oh.
Yeah. So, and then the American army tries to. They fly past Kara for some reason.
Yeah.
And I say for some reason because if you engage in there, and I don't know the Kryptonians are there, but if you're flying past something red in the sky.
Yeah, I think that's the last thing they're caring about at this point. Because I don't think they don't know.
They're like, oh, this floating figure. Yeah. All right, but the American Air Force are trying to bomb the Kryptonians, but they're getting mullered as well. Yeah. The American army's getting destroyed. Kara flies back. She sees Barry being burnt. The generator's broken, and they're like, I gotta get hit by the lightning. So she takes Barry up there to the skies. Yeah. Where the lightning then strikes.
Yeah.
Barry, and she brings him back into the Batcave. Younger Barry's like, no, older Barry, he's like, Barry, come on, man, you can do this, you can survive, because he's not healing at the point. Yeah. And then he touches Barry Prime because he's like, come on, man. And I think that some of that lightning from the Speed Force there, then like that's what sets off the chain reaction.
Yeah.
Because I think did it need to be specific Speed Force? I don't know, but that's what did it.
Yeah.
And so Barry Prime revives, and he's like, I'm alive, and then he's like, oh, we got powers back. Yeah. Right.
Yay. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think this is where younger Barry gives him Barry Prime back the ring.
Yeah.
And then he used the bat suit that was handed to him to make his own costume.
Yeah, which looks hilarious.
Yeah, because it's like the ears cut off, the suit doesn't fit properly. He sprayed, instead of taking the bat insignia off, he just sprays lightning on top of it.
Yeah.
He uses kind of the police electrical tape, sort of, the red and the yellow and black.
Yeah.
To make the streaks, and he's like, all right, yeah, well, okay, makes sense. Why not?
Good improvisation. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they go to Bruce. They're like, so Supergirl says, "Look, I will join you because they're going to destroy your world.
Yeah,
you need as much backup as you can get."
The Krypton I'm from, they were peaceful, but these guys don't represent us.
Yeah, so. And I saw General Zod, and he's a maniac.
Yeah, he needs to be stopped no matter the cost.
And then they ask Bruce, is he going to team up with them? And Bruce like, you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. I'm like, yes.
Yeah. That's a callback to the film he was in.
Mm-hmm. So they fly over there, Actually, they fly over. Kara flies over there. Batman flies Flash and other Flash over there.
Yeah.
And yeah, so he drops them off. They skid down, and Kara's in the middle. It actually was a really cool looking, like the one from the trailer where they just kind of streak across into the battlefield.
Yeah.
And Batman's trying to help the aerial assistants. Obviously, can only do so much because it's Kryptonians, right? And then the Flashes are like, all right, so what we got to do is buy Kara enough time to take General Zod down, and then we'll work out the rest afterwards.
Yeah.
And then he's like to Barry Prime's like to younger Barry. Okay, so the Kryptonians are fast, right? But we're faster. You know?
Yeah.
We're the fastest men alive.
Yeah, like maybe they're stronger than, but we're faster than them. Like, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, they're doing some cool tandem moves and stuff like that. How fast you have to run to hit Kryptonian armor, not hurt yourself? Well, hey, you know.
Yeah. Then also Barry says to Kid Barry, "All right, you have to be careful because your suit doesn't save the kinetic energy, or whatever energy. So you got to disperse it at times. If not, you're gonna do something bad."
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think this is where he zooms off and he zooms back and his suit's charged by lightning. And then he's like, all right, well, I got to release it. Yeah, so...
That's a bit after. I think because he tries to fight one of the Kryptonians, and the Kryptonian's like, nah, dude, and hits him.
Yeah.
And does he cut his face? Yeah, first we get his face cut.
Oh, yeah,
and then he's like, all panicking and stuff, innit? And Barry Prime's doing his thing and all that stuff. Then he goes back to Kid Barry. He's like, yeah, you need to just don't overthink it. You can do this. And that's when he's like, okay, cool. And he gets involved. And then I think that's a bit later on when he does the Force Lightning later on.
Yeah. Kara's facing down General Zod, and General Zod's like, and she's like, where is Kal-El, essentially?
Yeah.
If he's not with you, where is he? And he goes, no, see, I wasn't looking for him. I was looking for you. I already found Kal-El. We already took the Matrix out of him, but he didn't survive. He's like, what? You murdered my cousin? Yeah, my baby cousin,
the
right?
infant didn't survive. Yeah.
See how the way he says it, right?
Yeah.
But then I'm like, hold on a minute. How does Kara? How's it in Kara? Like, you don't see the backstory of Kara Zor-el and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's just like it was in Kal-El because Jor-El put it in there. So why is anything with Kara? Are you going to say in this timeline it was slightly different?
No, I think they put one. You know, like they put one part of the equation to him, say the codex or whatever. Yeah. And then the other part of the equation into her.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I took it.
But that's us kind of trying to bridge the gap.
Yeah, bridge the gap. It kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it even makes sense in the main timeline, if that's the case as well.
Yeah. And then she goes rage mode and starts battering Zod, and I was like, wow, okay. She's doing better than Cal, but then that's the power of rage, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, so the Barrys are doing pretty well against the Kryptonians.
Yeah,
they're doing they. What are you saying about was it the tornado move? Or am I thinking of that's later on?
I think it's a bit later on because no, I think it is this, and then afterwards, that's when he goes to do the something's gonna happen to Barry Prime, and then young Barry discharges his energy and tries to zap one of them. Yeah, and
Barry's like, you gotta close the circuit. You gotta do like the the Willow spray taunt.
Yeah, the United Empire taunt. Yeah, round.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you gotta close the circuit.
Yeah, that's it.
And so Barry Prime, I think this is obviously just to distinguish which Barry you're looking at. Barry Prime's lightning is yellow, and the other Kid Barry's lightning is blue.
Yeah.
Which is comes into play later on.
Which kind of makes sense because in like the first Flash, when the Flash first appeared in Justice League and that, his lightning was blue because he didn't have that suit in it. Yeah, so I was like, okay, that's a cool back. That's cool.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep, Kara's destroying Zod.
Yep. And then
she's just picking up, like, smashes them into a Kryptonian ship, picks up a broken down piece of the Kryptonian ship and just starts hammering at him with it. And then she just dart throws it at his head as well.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, this woman.
Yeah. I did like a bit though where they're fighting and then they try to Zod flies through a helicopter.
Mm-hmm.
And takes out the wing of it, like the tail of it, and it starts spinning out of control. And Kara saves it. I was like, oh, that's cool. And then Zod literally just runs straight through afterwards. Like, oh wow.
It was like, wow.
Yeah,
all right,
dude, that was.
But yeah, she goes to Zod. I don't know, maybe she had to get close to Zod for some reason. Which
because she impelled she beat him up so much he got not embedded into a helicopter or a ship or something like that.
Yeah, and for all you know, he looks like he's completely knocked out.
Yeah, so she picks up I think a part of a Kryptonian ship was kind of like a serrated edge and stuff like that. So she's gonna stab him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when she goes to do that,
yeah.
Actually, no, she turns around.
Yeah.
Because I think Barry, young Barry comes to talk to her. That's it. Yeah, because Prime Barry goes, oh yeah, go to find Kara. See how she's doing. I'm not going to find Bruce.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's running over and he says Kara, and she turns around, and then you hear she gets shanked by what's his face?
General Zod's blade.
Yeah. And
then she's out. I think. What happens to young Barry? Does he get just?
I think he tries to hit Zod, and he gets knocked away or something, and that's when he tells her oh yeah, we needed you because in your blood is I want to say the souls of the Kryptonians. That's probably not what it is, but
the Kryptonian coding matrix or whatever you're going to say that got transferred to this character instead, right? Well, fine, whatever, right?
No, because they said that Clark had it in him, but they need her blood as well because something's in her blood.
Or maybe they can use her blood to revive his because
it's whatever they device. Yeah,
exactly. The infant did not survive, so probably use the blood of their nearest relative to pump into whatever, right?
Whatever,
right?
Yeah.
The same stuff that Bane did in Dark Knight Rises, where he put the blood in a dead body.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So they use their whatever device it is to start taking her blood.
Yeah.
And then they leave her for dead.
Yeah. And then Batman is flying his black jet around.
Yeah.
And he says he's going to take down the Kryptonian jets.
Yeah.
And he does take down one, but then he gets shot.
Yeah.
And one of his engines going out. So he's like, okay, I can't eject, but what I'm going to do is crash the Batwing into their big ship.
Yeah.
And so he can help the war. And he does so, and Barry's like, no, don't do that, no. And then he flies it, smash, blows up. After the smoke's gone, the Kryptonian ship is still fine because it has a shield. So he sacrificed himself for nothing, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Barry then the Barrys get together.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, we can change this. Kid Barry's like, we can change this. You ran through time, yeah? And you came to change my time. So we can change time. We could go back and change time in a couple of seconds back.
Yeah, and save them.
And we can bring that back alive. We can save the world. Let's do it. And Barry runs off, and Kid Barry runs off, and Barry Prime's got to run after him and says, you can't. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, you don't know about time travel, blah, 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 right? But obviously, you've gone back a couple of seconds at this point. Okay, we're going to have to do what we can here at where we are now.
Yeah, at this point, right? You go here, you go do this, I'll go do that.
Yeah.
So then they try the same thing over again.
Yeah. This is where was it Kid Barry? No, hold on, is it young? I think it was older Barry, right?
Yeah.
This time he runs over to make a tornado typhoon around General Zod.
Yeah.
And Kara then just is like, all right, that's great. And she just dashes in there, punching General Zod, like in and out through the dust cloud.
Yeah.
And then General Zod, obviously, at this point, is like, he's taken a good couple of hits, and then he's like ragdolling in the air, but he's also got super speed.
Yeah.
So he tracks Kara's movements, and then he punches her, which then creates a shockwave as well.
Yeah.
That goes through and knocks Barry over.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's Kid Barry, isn't it?
It's Kid Barry, yeah, because other Barry's on to try and stop Bruce from blowing up thingy-majig.
Yeah. So Kara then gets knocked down, and then General Zod shanks her again.
Yeah.
And then they start taking her blood once more. But Barry runs over to Barry Prime's talking to Batman, saying, "Don't crash into the ship; it's got a shield."
Yeah.
He goes, "All right," and then he basically is like, "All right, well, I guess I take out the big Kryptonian."
Yeah.
Big Kryptonian jumps on his ship, and I'm like, "Oh man, he's about to get squished just like a."
He starts shooting at him, then the guy just jumps on his ship, and like, oh, he's about to get.
Yeah, because like in the Man of Steel, one of them, Airmen just got.
Yep.
Quite, splattered. Bruce tries to sling him off. Nothing happens. Then Bruce fights him essentially, like planting bombs all over his armor, which was cool to see.
Cool.
Right? Yeah. But then the big Kryptonian just grabs his cape and just slings him into the ground.
Yeah.
And Bruce still trying to stand up, but he's like internal damage and everything like that.
Yeah.
And then he's like, big Kryptonian is like, you hear the bleeping. Big Kryptonian then tries to grip something on the back of his head, and the bomb explodes. Yeah. And he just then falls forward, and then Batman drops as well. And Flash runs over to him, Barry Prime, and he goes, something. Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't save you.
Yeah.
I couldn't bring you back, or and. Bruce is like, no, don't worry, you did, man. You did, you did bring it back, as in Batman, right?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, yeah. And then that other Kryptonian just starts standing up.
Yeah.
Right? And I think young Barry runs towards that direction to save them. Right?
Yep.
And he gets a Kryptonian blade gets embedded in his arm.
Yep.
And this is where I clocked.
I kind of clocked this after as well.
Yeah, this is where the Dark Flash is. This is where the alternate other Flash is. And then, by the way, it was good that they kind of made him disappear for a while, and then
you kind of forget about him. And then...
Yeah, and then I think one point through the film, so you don't forget too much, is where Barry has a nightmare dream about him.
Yeah.
But his face is not like that face, the face that we eventually see, because it's like it's Barry's like mental interpretation of the guy.
Yeah. Yeah, because this is where they do their joint lightning powers to the big one, and he explodes, doesn't he?
And then Barry runs back in time again.
Yeah.
And Barry Prime's chasing him.
Yeah.
And they try to do save everyone again, and I think Barry sliced up Fiora with the thing embedded in his where the shard in his arm. He's just like cutting people's necks now and stuff like that. Right?
Yeah, and you're like, oh wow,
but they still can't get each other done. So he keeps on going back, and Barry Prime's like chasing him, saying, "Stop it! Stop it! Stop it!"
Yeah.
You can't keep on doing this. You're just going to cause so much damage to the timeline.
Yeah.
He goes, and Kid Barry goes, no, because if this world dies, Mum dies.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep on going until I can save them, right? And I can save them as many times. I can go back as many times as I need because time is on my side.
Yeah.
And then Barry's like, Prime Barry's like, no, look around you, everything's collapsing. You're causing massive fissures in time. And then we see cameos like. We see George Reeves Superman.
Yeah.
With Flash there, Jay Garrick Flash, which looks like Teddy Sears Zoom, Hunter Zolomon, but not.
Yeah.
And he says it isn't him. But his costume is very similar, and his helmet's very similar, and the facial features are very similar.
I just thought a generic CGI guy. I didn't like reminisce anything to me. But
Yeah, it looked like fake Jay Garrick.
yeah.
And then you see Christopher Reeve Superman with Helen Slater Supergirl.
Yep. I was like, oh god.
Yeah. And then you see the best cameo of all time, Nicolas Cage Superman. I was like,
from Superman Lives.
Are they?
I was like, oh, they are, ain't they? I was like, that's hilarious. Why would you do that?
Because the way they did it was like you couldn't really see it, but then you see enough of it, and you're like, no, really?
Yeah.
And then you see the Pygmalion Star Beast, and you're like, all right,
yep,
all right. And then full on Nicolas Cage Superman turns to the camera, and you're like, oh, all right.
Wow.
Yeah. And then you hear Adam West, Batman, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think they avoided the cameos that were in Crisis on Infinite Earths not to contradict that too much, is in my mind.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have like Brandon Routh Superman, you didn't have you didn't have John Wesley Flash, you didn't have Grant Gustin Flash.
Yeah, but to be fair, the Brandon Routh one technically is in the same universe as Christopher Reeve.
Oh yeah, but what I'm saying is they could have just it's true. They could have just showed them as well. Well, I get why they didn't, right?
Yeah.
Also, yeah, and I get why they didn't show Grant Gustin Flash but when they filmed that thing in Crisis on Infinite Earths, he was in his other costume, the prototype costume, so it wouldn't make sense to show it here. Not that they couldn't have had Grant Gustin come and do a cameo anyways, but it's just one of those things where you're like, fair enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, you see some Batman 66 and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then you see the worlds kind of colliding together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is why I was like, oh yeah, they're melding in the I don't know, the old interdimensional void of whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that's why these worlds look fake, super fake, because they're in flux.
Yeah, that's why I saw it. I was like, oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Kid Barry's like, layers. I'm gonna save my world.
Yeah,
right,
and
so
each time he comes
off.
back, like saying, like he's got different like bits of like things sticking out of him. You're like, oh, just not going well.
Yeah, so and Barry's like Barry Prime's like, you gotta stop, and Kid Barry disappears once again.
Yeah,
and then Dark Flash appears. Well, they call him Dark Flash, yeah. But Flash with all these shards appearing out of him and stuff like that, and he's like, you can't stop this, right?
Yeah.
You can't stop what's happening.
What was his motive?
Well, yeah, he's going to explain in just a second,
yeah.
Right? Does he explain his motive before Kid Barry comes back, right?
I think Kid Barry comes back halfway through.
Yeah. So he's explaining. Yeah, Dark Flash is explaining. Oh no, he's done. Yeah. So he's basically, Dark Flash comes in there and he's saying to Barry, "Stop interfering in my business."
Yeah.
And, you know what's going on and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And Barry's like, Prime Barry's like, this man's gonna murder me.
Yeah.
This big massive behemoth of a human being is just gonna kill me.
Yeah. And he goes, "Yeah, I'm the one who made you come back to 2013."
Yeah. And so he's about to go and shank the Flash, Barry Prime.
Actually,
and
no,
young Barry...
it's a bit before that because
sorry.
I think something happens and half his face mask comes off, and then that's when young Barry sees a scar because he's got the same scar. He goes,
yeah. So I think young Barry comes back and hits the Dark Flash, right?
Yeah.
Shatters his helmet.
Yeah.
And then they see the scar that Dark Flash has.
Yeah.
And he looks at young Kid Barry and he says, "Yes, I am you.
Yeah.
We are the same." And you know what? He's actually quite cordial. He's not. He's explaining his motivations, right? And he's not trying to just randomly attack them for no reason. He's actually standing there trying to reason with them.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Look, young Barry, I am you, right? I kept on going trying to change time just as you're doing, right?
Yeah.
Every time it goes wrong and my world does not survive. But I need to keep on going because I've nearly worked it out. And then Barry Prime's like, "How long have you been doing this?" And he's like, "Decades," because his hair's white and he's like, just kind of, yeah. And as far as the logic goes, by the way, at this point, I'm like, it makes perfect sense because he doesn't know Dark Flash, young Barry. He doesn't know not the limits of his powers, yeah, but he doesn't know what his capabilities are. Therefore, he's just trial and error. He's extending what he does know, not the things he doesn't know.
Yeah.
So if he did different things, he could like using the Speed 4000 in a different way, maybe, yeah. But he just took the long route, just working the same thing over and over again because he doesn't know any more of his abilities.
Yeah.
And I was like, no wonder why it's taking so long. But he's just like, look, I can do it. And he goes, not basically not at the expense of the rest of the multiverse.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he basically tries to. He's like, oh well, okay, you're gonna let Mum die, so I'm gonna have to go and get rid of you.
Yeah. So
he tries to shank Barry Prime, but young Barry steps in the way.
Yeah.
And Dark Flash wipes himself out because he kills young Barry.
Yeah. Time paradox. Right. Yeah.
But he's a tragic character, and it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Not to say, obviously, it took decades, but you'll be like, all right. So no what happens, Kryptonian invasion, right? No matter what happens. But the thing is, as well, he keeps on going back to a certain point in time. Probably because he doesn't know enough how to travel further and further back in time, like Barry. But then he must have, because it's like he's trapped in the same time loop of over a day, or would you say couple of days?
Yeah, say about 2 or 3 day period. So yeah, a couple of days is not like a long time. But anything I can think of is in this world, well, in his version of it, he didn't have the help of everyone else for him to figure out what he's doing. Because like, if he had Barry Prime helping him, he wouldn't end up this way, if that makes sense.
Well, I think it was more like because he kept on running without Barry Prime at that point. Yeah, well, here's the problem, isn't it? It's like, where did he start existing in the first place? Yeah. But that's the Terminator paradox, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But then Barry, because he's like, look, Barry's like, well, I know what I have to do, and basically I have to let my mom die. Yeah.
Sorry, mother.
So he goes back to the shop where where he initially walked back and put the tin of tomatoes in her cart.
Yeah.
So he sees himself put the tin of tomatoes in her cart. Then he walks over to her as Barry, right? Because he sees a couple of days ago Barry Prime in the Flash costume put it there, and then he's like, all right, he's kind of just going over to his mum and he's talking to his mum.
Yeah.
But about him, but not about him, and about how much he misses her and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a pretty nice moment. Yeah.
Yeah, and how she used to make whatever that Barry's mum is going to make now.
Spaghetti.
Right? Yeah, because he's like a random stranger talking to another random stranger, and he's like, "Yeah, but I miss her so much." And then Barry's mum says, "Look, I know we've only just met, but do you need a hug?" And he's like, "Yeah, I could do with one."
Yeah.
And as she goes to hug him, he speeds off, takes the tin of tomatoes out of her what's it called?
Cart, yeah.
Trolley. Speeds back, and then when she hugs him, he kind of holds it for a bit of time, and then goes off and puts the tomatoes in a different place.
Yeah.
For his dad to get it.
Yeah.
And then he runs back in time because he's like,
he puts the tomatoes back, and then he thinks about like, wait, because you don't figure out what he does later on. And he looks up, he's like, and then he goes back to his time.
Yeah.
And then he's in court.
Yeah. He's late. He's getting told off because he's late.
Yeah.
He bursts in court. And the lawyer.
Actually, wait. He comes back to his house. Wait, yeah, I remember. Then there's a beer and a note from Iris on it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, okay.
Yes, the court date's happening.
Yeah.
He runs there. He gets there late because it already started.
Yeah.
He's like he sits down to watch the case, and then and then Henry Allen's lawyer's like, well, you know what? Before we did not have this footage, and it is like, okay, this makes sense because the Flash caused the cameras to go wacky.
Yeah.
like he did in Batman vs Superman.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why they couldn't see the footage. But now they've cleaned it up somehow because Batman's algorithm, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And Henry Allen then looks at the camera when he gets his tomatoes, and he's like, "Oh yeah, exonerated. Yes.
Yep.
Well done. Well done."
Oh.
He's innocent. He's innocent. Yeah. And then it says Barry comes out of the courthouse. He calls Bruce and says, "Yes."
He comes out of the courthouse and he talks to Iris.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Or as I say, they walk out of St. Paul's Cathedral. 'Cause that's where it really is.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they ask him, the reporters ask him about a case, and he's talking about the spaghetti, the tin of tomatoes that moved that changed the spaghetti from mixing all the meat together. And they're like, what? That makes no sense.
They're like, oh, this guy.
Yeah.
Us audience, we get it, but they won't get it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then does he call Bruce at this point?
I think Bruce calls him. No, Bruce calls him.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's
And,
like, yeah, Bruce, good to see you. You know, I went back and I changed this, and then and he goes, yeah, sure, Barry, I'll be there in a second.
Yeah.
And then the Mercedes slowly rolls up, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to see my friend Bruce. I can tell him more about this. What happened?
Yeah.
And then you see Feet get out of the car, and then the next shot you see Bruce, but it's not Ben Affleck or Martin Keaton or Michael Keaton. It's George Clooney, and then Barry's like, "Who the fuck are you?" Goes, Bruce. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah. And then his tooth falls out. In shock as well.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, first of all, not having an issue with George Clooney because he's Batman, right? But I was like, wait a minute, here's a beard.
Yeah, I was like, that's my thing. I was like, they wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Unless that beard he's wearing there is fake, and then he's Batman. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, that's the thing that caught me off. I was like, either this Batman wears a full face mask or something, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But I was like, actually, it was hilarious. I was like, that's great stuff.
Like, that's funny.
Originally, they had a couple of different endings for this. They were saying, I think this is the last ending they had for it.
Yeah.
Because you see how it was shot away from anything else.
Yeah.
You know, the camera had to turn and there was no interaction.
Yeah.
I think originally they were saying it was going to be the Michael Keaton Batman that was the Batman of that universe. Because then, the Supergirl replaces Superman and stuff like that. Because there's some slight changes.
Yeah.
The other thing they were going to have was the DC Trinity there. So you have Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot, and Bruce Wayne, Ben Affleck.
Okay.
Which would have made more sense because you introduced him earlier in the film, you know? Yeah,
but okay.
Yeah. But yeah, then they went with this one for the jokes because they're wiping out the universe anyways.
Yeah.
So I was like, actually, yeah. Even though it like none of the previous setup pays off, whatever, right? You know, I get the joke.
I get the joke, but then because this is technically going to be in a new this Flash is going to be in the new ECU, right?
Well, I don't know about that. I really they should have concluded the entire DCEU with this film.
Yeah,
because then it could have just came in and changed the timeline completely. That he didn't exist as well. Kind of, you could have used that as a reset point,
or just ended it, and then and then also use Aquaman to end the Aquaman part, and then start afresh with Blue Beetle. But really, that's got nothing to do with anyone.
The post-credit scene is Barry and Alpha Curry just kind of like having Alpha Curry's super drunk and Barry's like telling him about the timeline and the multiverse, and Alpha's like, yeah, dude, whatever, man. He flops into a puddle and he's like, dude, give me some more beer.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I'm gonna sleep right here. He goes, the couch is, my house is right there. We've got couch. He goes, no, I'm fine here. Here's my rings. Like, what, this Atlantic in gold? He goes, yeah, they'll take it. It's like, okay, sure.
Yeah, I was like, all right. I was like, not exactly. I don't know about waiting. Was it worth the poke for, waiting all that time? Could have done something else, but hey.
I like
it's a good joke though. It's a good little fun ending, but
and it kind of makes sense because Aquaman's the next one out, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
Wait, is it? Wait.
I don't know, between Aquaman and Blue Beetle.
Yeah, one or two. Yeah.
The thing is that I don't know if Blue Beetle takes place in this universe or not.
I think it more takes place in what's coming next. If I remember what I've kind of heard about it.
But then what I'm saying, it's a bit awkward because what they need to do is organize their release dates.
Yeah.
And then you could have shuffled things, made things make a bit more sense.
Yeah.
And you know the Batgirl film that happened, but that was filmed, but is never going to happen now.
Yeah.
That's where Bruce Wayne, Michael Keaton Batman was going to be in.
Yeah. But then J.K. Simmons was going to be Commissioner Gordon.
The ending for this film, that film is never going to, it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. None of it makes sense.
Yeah. But overall, what would you? I enjoyed the film.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
It's parts of it is straightforward, and parts of it, like the story itself, is very straightforward. Yeah, and you get more out of it when you know more stuff. But that it doesn't stop. That shouldn't stop your enjoyment of it.
Yeah, it shouldn't. No.
It's well done. And you like. Look, the Dark Flash doesn't actually have. He's not got bad motivations.
No.
He's just emotionally wrecked.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say he's a villain at all. No.
No. I mean, no. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Exactly. Well, he's brought to the point where he'll do what he can.
Yeah.
To save the world, right? A bit like the Paradox thing.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, but what it is causing more damage.
Yeah.
Not say for selfish reasons, right? But it's just like that. If you do your thing, you're going to destroy so many other worlds.
Yeah, but who cares?
Yeah. And I get how Barry Prime kind of matured through the film.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was cool as well. Like he got a character arc.
Yeah. Good film. I'll give it 2 thumbs up.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say, I thought you were gonna say 2 out of 5, but yeah,
no.
It's a very entertaining film. It's a good film. And I want to say there's no definitive like General Zod's in it. He's a villain throughout.
Yeah.
Even in the version of Man of Steel, at least you could say, okay, fair enough. He just wanted to save his world, right? But this one, no, he's heartless.
Yeah, it's kind of like Infinity War Thanos versus Endgame Thanos.
Yeah.
Infinity War Thanos, you're like, oh, okay, he kind of has a point. So what he's doing, still a bit of a bad guy. But then Endgame Thanos is like, just kill everyone. I don't care.
Okay. But to be fair, at this point as well, I will say General Zod just murdered a infant child. He's like, I've passed the point of no return.
Yeah, no
just keep on going then.
Yeah.
You know, in its own head, my justification is I did that to save the Kryptonians.
Yeah, you're like, well, dude.
Yeah, but you basically just dissected and murdered the baby. So
yeah, you dick. Yeah.
So there's no Yeah,
there's no coming back from that. There's no coming back for that.
What did you think of what did you think of Supergirl?
I like Supergirl.
Yeah, she was cool for what she was like. Okay, so she wasn't maxed out on her capabilities and stuff like that. But as far as what she could do and how she did it, I was like, oh, you know what, this is actually quite fine.
Yeah.
She's got no fighting ability. She's just going on pure rage, and the fact that General Zod keeps on killing her is like it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
because she's been drained of power as well. At least you can say Kal-El's spent 33 years in the sun.
Yeah.
And somehow Zod leveled up actually having fighting abilities in this film. But
he has realistically fighting abilities anyway because remember he's a soldier.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I also remember that that scientist Jor-El beat him up, but
just about. Yeah, but that was like 30 odd years ago, so you know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
but we'll also say, she was drained of. She only saw the sun like 2 days before, so yeah.
Yeah, exactly. She's not going to be strong enough.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of it made sense. I was like, she's a cool Supergirl, Latina Supergirl for some reason. I say that in the logic of, she has an accent. Not a strong one, right? But she has an accent. You're like, wait a minute. Yeah.
Didn't notice it.
Okay, fair enough. I was saying it wasn't a strong accent, but I was saying in Kryptonia somewhere. In Krypton, do they have accents? I don't know. Well, no. To be fair, Jor-El had an English accent.
Yeah, so
General Zod had an American accent. So
yeah,
I don't see
it's all
why.
over the shop, yeah. So.
Yeah, I don't see why Supergirl can't have a Latina accent. You know.
Yeah, her dad could be from the Spanish side of Krypton.
Well, the Kryptonian equivalent of Spain, right?
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, different part. You know, you got Australian English, you got American English.
Yeah.
You know.
It's all made up anyway. So it doesn't...
Yeah. The fact that she can speak English is the different.
Yeah,
well, you know.
Yeah, that's the bit I was like, she speak English. Not gonna question this. I ain't got time.
Yeah, because you could say Zod had the Kryptonian translation technology, whatever, right?
Yeah, which would make sense. Unless she learned English from being captured all those years, but she was in
and yeah, exactly. Yeah, held hostage. Yeah.
So
the thing is, though, how many years? Because she looks quite young to me. She looks like she's early 20s or something like that.
Yeah.
But
yeah, who knows?
Yeah. But I thought, like, even though she wasn't
but
traditional...
it depends in this timeline as well. When did when did she arrive on Earth? Because she could have only arrived like 5 years ago, but rather than when Clark would have arrived. Yeah. So it's another.
Well, let's put it this way, right? Her costume still fits. So
yeah,
she must have been in her late teens or something when she arrived. Otherwise, her costume wouldn't be.
Yeah, because didn't she go into status? So she didn't age.
Yeah, it's true. So it could have been like a couple of Yeah,
I could be wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't mind the change in ethnicity for Supergirl or anything like that. Yeah, and she's not blonde either. But it was like, you know what? That Supergirl kind of look, it's the multiverse. Things are going to be different, and if you have so it's like you need to distinguish this. You got to distinguish this universe from other ones. You know? Yeah. So and what make a major change. It makes sense.
Yeah, make big sense.
Yeah. Especially since you see blonde original Supergirl later on. So yeah.
Because even that doesn't make sense. But yeah. But
I enjoyed the film as well.
Highly enjoyed it.
Yeah. And like I said, no particular bad guys.
No.
As the main threat of the film. You could even say General Zod in his own mind didn't think he was the villain anyways.
Yeah.
He was just a soldier just trying to save his troops, essentially. Except that he went majorly overboard.
Yeah, he went majorly too far, then went into genocide. So yeah.
But then again, well, that's what happened in a reflection of what happened to younger Barry. When he turned into Dark Flash. So and he was about to murder the entire multiverse just to save just to save his universe. So
it makes sense.
And like I said, all the Barry then learned the lesson of what his he had to give up the life that he could have had to save all of humanity.
Yeah. And sometimes you have to do that. So it's okay. I understand, Barry. I understand.
Yeah. So I'd say a very entertaining film as well.
Very entertaining.
Ropey CG in some parts, which like I said, I can forgive, and then other parts where you're like, that's a bit, that's too dodge. But I think also as well, the fact that his costume is too smooth looking.
Yeah, that
when I know it might be easier to help CG his costume.
Yeah,
but it just makes it look too rubbery.
Yeah, like I wouldn't like you said, there was points where it was like not that great. But I wouldn't go as far as people say, no, that's like PS2 graphics. Like, have you seen a PS2 game? Yeah,
exactly. The people that see that, they probably weren't around when PS2 was around, right?
Like, okay, if you're saying like PS3 graphics, like, okay, just about cutscene, I can guess that. But PS2, no, you're being mean for no reason. But yeah, I'm down with the Flash.
Would you like to have seen the sequel?
Yeah.
And do you think? Well, no, but they've not to say, okay, I wouldn't have liked to see the sequel, but what is this? They took a massive story and already done it in the first movie.
Yeah.
How are you going to compete? You can't go bigger than you can't go big. No. Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah. So it's kind of not seriously, they shot themselves in the foot, but more like, how? What are you? If you're doing a sequel, what are you going to do that's going to be as grander than this or something like that. Yeah, it's a bit. But I'm. Would you think in a sequel that the Professor Zoom will make an appearance? Like, turns out Professor Zoom did kill Barry's mum.
Maybe I could see that, but I feel like Zoom, because they played him out so much in a cartoon, he's been kind of left away for a bit. Yeah.
Well, no, you mean Reverse Flash Professor Zoom, right?
Any reverse sort of speedster, they need.
But what about what about Zoom that can Hunter Zolomon Zoom who can manipulate the time line?
Yeah, maybe him. I think it could probably get around him because it kind of will time with stuff they've sort of touched upon. Yeah, with that. But yeah, Reverse Flash, Evolve Form, you need to stay away from for quite a long time.
Yeah. I was thought in the series. I always wondered, by the way, in the Flash TV series, why they didn't have a person who can manipulate time like that, well, outside the timeline, like Hunter Zolomon Zoom in the comics was.
Yeah, I don't know why they did that either. They just reduced him to a speedster. Like, he's more than that, really. But
yeah, because it's neat to have stuff that the Hunter Zolomon Zoom has abilities. Like he can go through time, we move through the timeline, right?
Yeah.
But he doesn't have the Speed Force abilities that the Flashes have. So there's stuff that evens it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though he's faster than them, well, depending on how you put it.
Yeah.
But yeah. I don't know if you could compete with this if you use the Rogues or something like that, because they know their abilities can't
touch the Flash at this point.
Well, not touch, but it's like this grand adventure. Unless you're gonna have all the what can you do with all the Rogues that's gonna happen? Like, that's gonna be more of a spectacle than this.
Yeah, I don't think you can.
And if you are gonna go out on your first film, this is the way to do it.
Yeah, you aim high and then just leave it as that. Just walk out and say, "Peace, we're done." Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Yeah. So that's us finishing for this episode of Triple No Multiverse.
Yes.
I'm the man who stabbed Nora Allen, Siwa Chung.
And I'm the man who had 3 different versions of me in one film, Carl Charles. I like that. And thank you for listening to us review The Flash, or as the title card said when I was waiting to watch a film, Flash. They forgot the third part. But anyway, let us know. Did you enjoy it? Did you like it? Do you think this was a good way to kind of reboot the DCEU, or whatever it's going to be called going forward?
I'd argue that they could have just splintered the timeline.
Yeah.
And this is divergent now.
Yeah. New territory.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Whereas then they're going to continue with the James Gunn. They're going to restart with the James Gunn timeline. So, yeah.
Yeah. I'm waiting to see it. I should be all right. Yes, and did you find the CGI ropey? I thought it was okay. Yeah, it could have been better, but it's what it is. And let us know what your favourite parts of the film were, and you could do that by letting us know by leaving a little message if you're watching this on YouTube in the comment section. You can drop us a tweet or a Instagram comment or whatever, and you can find all that lovely stuff on how to contact us in the description part. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and tell your friends about us. And yeah, until next time, guys, unless one of us goes back in time and kicks a bug which sets off a chain of events that this podcast becomes a different podcast, we'll be here next week.
We'll wipe each other out and then keep on going back in time to set it right.
Set it right and never do, and then just give up. Yeah. And just wow, I was confused myself. And thanks for taking a trip with us around the multiverse. Bye.